Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Have you ever felt like your mind is less like a quiet sanctuary and more like a chaotic battlefield?
Definitely. That feeling is incredibly common.
Yeah, a place where thoughts, worries, emotions are just constantly clashing,
Yeah.
leaving you feeling, overwhelmed and maybe completely out of control.
Mm-hmm. Totally swamped by it all.
Well, that sounds familiar. Then today's deep dive is absolutely for you. We've gathered an incredible stack of sources, really digging deep into neuroscience, psychology, even some ancient wisdom,
A real mix. Yeah.
all to explore this really powerful idea, building an inner headquarters.
I like that term headquarters. Gives a sense of control, doesn't it?
Exactly. And this headquarters, it isn't some abstract, fuzzy concept. Imagine it like a calm, strategic command center right there inside your own mind.
A place to operate from.
Yes. A place from which you can observe and manage life's inevitable challenges, rather than just getting swept away by them. So, our mission today is to unpack this crucial difference between being completely fused with our internal experiences, feeling like they are us,
Right. Like you are the anger, not just feeling it.
precisely, versus being able to observe them with a kind of calm, detached perspective. And maybe most importantly, we're going to arm you with practical, actionable skills to start constructing this very real, very powerful inner command center for yourself. It's about gaining, hopefully, a profound sense of self-mastery.
That's precisely what we're aiming for. Because for so many of us, that default state you mentioned, that internal battlefield, it's incredibly familiar. It feels like we're perpetually fighting some unseen enemy inside, just bombarded by constant information.
It's exhausting.
It is. And there's a solid biological reason for this. Our brains, fundamentally, are wired for survival. Daniel Goleman talks about this extensively. Our ancient brain structures are constantly interpreting incoming info as a potential threat, often before our conscious mind even gets a word in.
So it's automatic then.
Completely automatic. Think of your amygdala like your brain's personal alarm company. It's designed to be on high alert, constantly scanning for danger.
Right.
When it perceives something even remotely threatening, which, in our modern world could be anything from a sharp email to a loud noise.
Right. Not exactly a saber-toothed tiger.
Exactly. It often bypasses the rational thinking part of your brain. Goleman calls this the low-road neural pathway. It's a shortcut.
A shortcut to panic sometimes.
Well, a shortcut to mobilization. It sends these urgent, rapid-fire messages throughout your brain and body, instantly gets your heart rate up, tenses your muscles, even messes with your digestion. It's a primal, automatic fight-or-flight response. Not really a conscious choice at all.
It's like our internal security system is maybe set on maximum sensitivity, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just so good at spotting potential threats that it often just overreacts.
That's a great way to put it.
Thought-
And Goleman points out how this constant state of vigilance can actually lead to a perilous lowering of the neural set point for alarm, meaning that ordinary everyday stuff can suddenly feel like a massive crisis because your brain is already kind of primed for emergency, even when there isn't one.
Wow.
And this isn't just about, minor anxieties. Bessel van der Kolk, whose work on trauma is just groundbreaking.
Yeah, the body keeps the score, the central reading.
Absolutely. He highlights how past intense experiences can literally leave a powerful brand on memory. So your brain might react to a perfectly safe situation now as if it were a life-threatening echo from way back then. It's like a phantom limb of fear, almost.
That makes so much sense. It explains why sometimes reactions feel so out of proportion.
Precisely. And this perpetual state of inner alarm creates what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls psychic entropy.
Psychic entropy. That sounds messy.
It is. It's not just feeling tired. It's a profound state of disorder in your consciousness. Imagine all your mental energy, your psychic energy, just being consumed by internal conflict information, clashing with your goals, worries, battling intentions. You feel all worked up to face the threat, as he puts it.
Even if the threat isn't really external.
Exactly. Or maybe it's largely internal or imagined. This constant internal tug of war is incredibly draining. It stops your mind from engaging with what actually matters. It sabotages your focus, your ability to adapt, even just finding joy in things.
It sounds like it's actively working against us, stopping us from doing the things we want or need to do.
It often does. James Clear, the Atomic Habits
Yeah.
guy, he points out that this chaotic internal state, plus all the external pressures like being too busy, tired, overwhelmed, It's a primary reason we struggle so much to stick with good habits or navigate challenges effectively.
We just get caught in that reactive loop.
Yeah, just responding to whatever internal or external alarm bell is ringing loudest instead of proactively steering our own ship. It's like trying to navigate a storm without a rudder, just getting tossed around.
Okay, so that's the problem space, the battlefield.
Precisely. And that's where this idea of the headquarters really comes in. If our minds often feel like this chaotic battlefield, what if we could build a strategic, serene observation post right in the middle of it all?
I like that image. A calm center.
Right. This headquarters isn't about ignoring the battle or pretending the chaos isn't there. It's about gaining a vantage point, a calm, central place from which you can manage yourself and your responses, rather than constantly being managed by everything else, internal or external.
Taking back control, essentially.
Exactly. It's about achieving what Daniel Pink talks about regarding motivation, that deep intrinsic drive for self-management, directing your own life.
So this isn't just a nice philosophical idea, it has real impact.
Absolutely. This inner headquarters is about achieving what Csikszentmihalyi calls order in consciousness. It's that state where all the information flooding into your awareness actually becomes congruent with your goals.
Okay, so things align better.
Yes. Instead of mental energy being wasted on that internal conflict, it flows effortlessly. And when you pause, reflect from this calm center, the evidence often feels encouraging, you know? You realize, okay, I am actually doing all right. This positive feedback strengthens your sense of self, and it frees up immense attention, allows you to engage with everything inside and out with more purpose and clarity.
And the practical benefits, day to day.
Huge. James Clear really emphasizes this. Establishing strong habits, or using our metaphor, building this headquarters significantly reduces cognitive load. It frees up precious mental capacity.
Less mental clutter.
Exactly. Think about it. When the basics, your emotional responses, your routines are handled more smoothly, your mind is liberated, it can focus on new challenges, learn, create, master the next set of problems. It's about intentionally putting your attention where it matters rather than being constantly bogged down by that internal noise and reactive stuff.
This really feels like a profound shift, like moving from just reacting to life to actually living intentionally. It reminds me of that Carl Jung quote.
The one about the unconscious.
Yeah. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This inner headquarters, this process of gaining order in consciousness, it feels like it's fundamentally about that. Moving away from being possessed by those automatic, unconscious processes.
It really is. It's about recognizing, understanding, and ultimately integrating those deep patterns and reactions that often drive our behavior without us even realizing it. It's about, as Van der Kolk puts it, regaining self-mastery, claiming control over your own destiny by sort of shedding the chains of automatic, unexamined reactions.
That's a perfect lead-in to our first major section then, because what you're describing is understanding that crucial difference between being fused with your inner world and being able to observe it. That seems like the absolute foundation for building this headquarters.
It really is the foundational shift, yeah.
So let's start with fusion. What exactly are we talking about there? What does that feel like?
Okay, so when we talk about fusion, we mean being completely tangled up with a thought or an emotion. It's that all-consuming feeling where the emotion is you rather than just something you have or are experiencing.
Oh, okay. No separation.
Zero separation. There's a complete absorption, no distinction between the observer you and the thing being observed, the feeling or thought. Daniel Goleman, building on research by Joseph Ledoux, illustrates how emotional reactions and memories can actually form without any conscious cognitive participation at all.
How does that work?
Well, it happens because there's this neurological shortcut. Information goes from the thalamus, the brain's sort of relay station, directly to the amygdala, the alarm center, completely bypassing the neocortex, your rational thinking brain.
Whoa. So that doesn't even hit the logic center first.
Nope, not on that fast track. So what this means for you day to day is that you can suddenly enact responses, feel intense emotions, even have vivid memories triggered without your conscious mind having a clue why it's happening.
That explains a lot, like snapping at someone unexpectedly.
Exactly. The emotional impressions, the memories, they kind of live in the amygdala without full conscious awareness being attached. It's why you might find yourself snapping or feeling a sudden surge of panic before your thinking brain has even registered the trigger.
Yeah.
Your body and your primal brain react first, and your conscious mind is left playing catch-up, trying to figure out what just happened.
And if these thoughts and emotions stay mindless and automatic, as James Clear puts it,
then they essentially become the hidden currents directing our lives. It's that powerful Jungian idea again. If unconscious isn't made conscious, it rules us. You just react, often completely against your own better judgment or your long-term goals.
And this shows up really strongly in trauma, right?
Hugely. Van der Kolk described how traumatic memories often persist as these split-off, unmodified images, sensations, and feelings. People re-experience the terror, the rage, the helplessness, often without being able to even put it into words coherently. It's like time gets warped, and the past becomes the present over and over
A
again.
continuous reliving, not a memory you look back on.
Exactly. It's not processed, it's just re-triggered. And this leads to a truly debilitating kind of trap. People can get trapped in a place they desperately wish to escape, becoming hopelessly stuck in the past.
Making it impossible to live fully now.
Extremely difficult, yeah, because their brain is constantly interpreting safe, present situations through the terrifying lens of past threats. But, it's not just about severe trauma. Carol Dweck's work on fixed mindsets reveals a similar kind of fusion, but more with self-perception.
How so?
Well, when you operate with a fixed mindset, you might experience failure not just as an event, but as a defining label. You feel labeled by a failure.
Like, I failed, therefore I am a failure.
Precisely. Or you might get intensely discouraged when something requires a lot of effort, leading you to blame external factors instead of persisting. In those moments, you are fused with that negative self-perception. You believe your abilities are static, set in stone, rather than something you can develop. It's a really limiting belief system that actively prevents growth.
Okay, so fusion is getting tangled up, being overwhelmed, being defined by the feeling or thought. The opposite, then, is observation.
Exactly. And this brings us to the really powerful concept of metacognition.
Thinking about thinking.
That's the simplest way to put it, yeah. It's the ability to sort of step outside your own head for a moment, to observe your internal experiences, your thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, without immediately judging them or automatically reacting to them. It's about creating that vital space, that distance between you, the observer, and your inner space, the things being observed.
Creating some breathing room, mentally.
That's a great analogy. Carl Jung suggested that to really achieve this separation from our most powerful, overwhelming internal states, sometimes we need to create a conscious situation of distress.
That sounds intense.
It's not about seeking out suffering for its own sake. It's more about consciously confronting what feels overwhelming, not running away from it. By doing that, you can sometimes activate what he called an archetype of unity, find an underlying wholeness, a unified self that can observe without being totally consumed.
So facing the fear helps you realize you're separate from it.
In a sense, yes. It's the profound process of looking at something that feels like an overwhelming, inseparable part of you, maybe a deep fear or a really shameful thought, and realizing, hang on, I can observe this. This isn't my entire identity. That subtle shift creates a sense of spaciousness. It's like, watching a storm from inside a warm, dry house instead of being caught out in the pouring rain.
And James Clear really hammers home that awareness is the starting point for changing habits, right?
Absolutely non-negotiable starting point. You have to recognize your current habits and, crucially, the specific cues or triggers that set them off. Only then do you create that space, that opportunity to choose how to respond in a way that actually benefits you. Otherwise, you're just running on autopilot, letting those old unconscious patterns call the shots.
It's about seeing the pattern first.
You got it.
Yeah.
And Van der Kolk takes this a critical step further. He really emphasizes just how vital cultivating sensory awareness is, especially for managing intense emotions and trauma.
Why sensory awareness specifically?
Because, again, the body keeps the score. Emotions aren't just abstract ideas floating in your head. They are deeply imprinted in your body's chemistry, your muscle tension, your gut feelings. Cultivating sensory awareness allows us to actually tolerate their sensations, to befriend those inner experiences.
Befriend them.
Yeah.
It sounds counterintuitive for bad feelings.
It does, but it means feeling what's happening in your body, the tightness, the heat, the emptiness, without being overwhelmed by it, without feeling that desperate need to escape it immediately. This is how you literally develop new, healthier ways of responding, by bringing those raw sensory details and feelings into words, by articulating them.
Naming them, like we talked about earlier.
Yes, and describing the physical sensations. This helps bring those memories and reactions more under control of the neocortex, your thinking brain. It makes those intense reactions feel more understandable, more manageable, and less like just raw, overwhelming terror or rage.
This connects perfectly to what Carol Dweck says about a growth mindset, doesn't it?
It really does. People who cultivate a growth mindset actively learn to catch themselves when they're in the throes of the fixed mindset, that moment where they feel defeated or defined by a failure.
Okay, they notice it happening.
Exactly. Then, crucially, they consciously switch themselves into the growth mindset. It's not passive. It's an active, deliberate choice to view challenges as chances to learn and grow, not just reflections of abilities that can't be changed. It's metacognition in action, applied right to your core beliefs about yourself.
Wow. So you can actually choose your mindset in the moment.
With practice, yes. And this detached observation isn't just for big crises or deep self-reflection. Clear points out it allows for periodic reflection and review of your habits and your life more generally. It gives you a valuable conversational distance.
Conversational distance.
Yeah, like you can step back and see the bigger picture. See the important changes you need to make without getting totally lost in the tiny details or obsessing over minor flaws. It's like viewing the entire mountain range from afar, rather than being stuck staring at just one peak or getting lost in one valley. It's a continuous process of self-assessment and refinement, all fueled by that heightened awareness.
Okay, so we've really laid out the problem of fusion getting stuck and the antidote, which is observation and metacognition. Now, the part I know everyone's waiting for, how do we actually build this inner headquarters? Because it's clear this isn't something you're just born with. It's a skill, right? Something we can actively develop.
Absolutely. Think of it exactly like any other skill: playing an instrument, learning a language, getting good at a sport. James Clear talks beautifully about the philosophy of small wins.
Right, the 1% better idea.
Exactly. He illustrates how improving by 1% each day for 1 year doesn't just add up, it compounds. It can make you 37 times better. This isn't about needing huge, dramatic breakthroughs. It's about consistent, small improvements that build on each other over time.
Slow and steady wins the race, kind of.
In a way, yes. And Daniel Pink also emphasizes deliberate practice, like repetitive, mentally demanding work, as the real path to mastery, even for something that seems as intangible as emotional regulation. It might be challenging, maybe even unpleasant sometimes.
Like practicing scales on a piano.
Exactly like that. But it's undeniably effective. It leads to what Csikszentmihalyi calls those optimal experiences, or flow, where you feel completely engaged, in control, and full of purpose.
So we're not talking magic bullet, quick fix. We're talking dedicated, consistent effort, like building muscle almost.
That's a perfect analogy, and Carol Dweck's work on mindsets powerfully reinforces this. She shows pretty conclusively that the brain literally changes with learning and practice. Even long-established, rigid, fixed mindsets can be consciously shifted.
That's incredibly hopeful.
It is. And that's why cultivating that growth mindset is so crucial. It embraces the idea that you can improve, that your abilities aren't set in stone, and that effort really does lead to progress.
And for people dealing with the echoes of trauma?
Van der Kolk shows that achieving true self-mastery often requires having new physical experiences that directly contradict the helplessness, rage, and collapse of those past events. It's not just a mental shift, it's a deep bodily re-education, establishing safety, presence, and a new embodied sense of control. It's integrating mind and body, which is absolutely core to building a robust inner headquarters.
All right, let's get into some concrete tools. Our first practical skill for building your headquarters. The Name, Locate, Breathe, Act grounding method. Simple, immediate, designed to anchor you in the present when emotions feel like they're taking over. It's a bit like that 5-4-3-2-1 technique people might know, but maybe with a slightly deeper focus on the emotion itself.
Exactly. This method directly targets that fusion we talked about, helping you kind of unstick yourself from the overwhelming emotion. The first step is just to name it.
Just acknowledge it.
Yep. Acknowledge the emotion, maybe even say it out loud if you're alone, but crucially without judgment. Just, okay, I'm feeling anxiety right now, or, this is anger coming up. James Clear mentions that naming our behavior helps overcome that blindness to it, makes the consequences feel more real. It's about bringing conscious awareness to what's happening inside instead of letting it be this invisible force dragging you around.
Okay, name it. Then what?
Then you locate it. Where in your body do you actually feel this emotion? Is it a tightness in your chest, a hot flush in your face, a knot in your stomach, tension in your shoulders, maybe a buzzing in your head?
Getting specific about the physical sensation.
Exactly. Van der Kolk constantly stresses the importance of cultivating sensory awareness because, the body keeps the score. Emotions are physically imprinted. Connecting to these physical sensations, rather than just the abstract idea of the feeling, pulls you out of the mental overwhelm and grounds you right back into the concrete reality of your physical self, here and now.
It stops you floating away in the feeling.
Precisely. Ernest Becker wrote about how if we're not securely anchored in this body, our symbolic awareness can kind of float at maximum intensity. Locating the feeling in your body helps anchor you firmly back down.
Name, locate,
Yeah.
then breathe.
Yes. Breathe. Take just a few slow, deep, deliberate breaths. Focus purely on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. Feel it come in, feel it go out. This is a foundational, incredibly quick way to regulate your nervous system.
Like hitting a reset button.
It really is. Deep, mindful breathing can rapidly shift your physiological state from that fight or flight panic mode into a calmer, more regulated state. It signals safety to your brain, and it creates this crucial pause, this tiny but powerful space between the trigger and your usual automatic reaction.
Okay. Name, locate, breathe,
Yeah.
and finally act.
Act. Based on your observation, you've named the feeling, located where it is in your body, calmed your system with your breath. Now you decide on a mindful, intentional response. Something different from your usual automatic reaction.
So you're choosing your response instead of just reacting.
Exactly. This is the pivot point. James Clear highlights that consciously choosing your action can make all the difference. It's about overriding the old programming and stepping into a more deliberate, self-directed way of being. This whole sequence, name, locate, breathe, act, is about breaking that reactive loop and reclaiming your agency in the moment.
That's incredibly practical.
Oh.
Okay, what's the second skill?
Our second practical skill is really powerful for anyone who grapples with strong internal pulls, urges, cravings. We call it urge surfing.
Urge surfing, like riding a wave.
Precisely. This technique is designed for dealing with those strong desires. Could be a craving for a specific food, a substance like nicotine or alcohol, or even habitual destructive behaviors like chronic worrying, endless social media scrolling, or putting things off.
Things that give a quick hit but aren't good long term.
Exactly. James Clear describes that dopamine-driven feedback loop so well. Our brains are wired for immediate rewards. They're incredibly reinforcing, even if the long-term consequences are bad. He calls it time inconsistency.
We value now much more than later.
Much, much more. So we chase those quick hits of satisfaction, the temporary relief from stress you might get from a cigarette, say, despite knowing the huge long-term health risks.
Okay, so how does urge surfing help with that?
So urge surfing involves acknowledging that powerful urge when it hits, but instead of immediately acting on it or trying to violently suppress it, you just observe its intensity. Imagine it like a wave building in the ocean. You consciously choose to watch the wave, to feel its pull, its intensity rise, without getting swept away by it. You ride it out, knowing that, like any wave, it will eventually crest, weaken, and dissipate on its own. It won't last forever.
So you don't fight it, you just watch it pass.
You watch it, you feel it, but you don't obey it. This deliberate practice directly builds delayed gratification. Clear calls this the road less traveled, but it's the one that almost always leads to bigger payoffs and greater long-term success. You're basically training your brain to tolerate discomfort for a bigger, more meaningful future reward.
That makes sense. It sounds kind of similar to managing anxiety, like planning for scenarios instead of just worrying.
It has clear parallels, definitely. There's an emotion protocol for anxiety in one of our guides that suggests writing out worst likely best case scenarios and making a now next later plan. Just like you manage potential threats by outlining them and planning, urge surfing helps you manage intense cravings by observing them, understanding their temporary nature, rather than just getting lost and ruminating about them or acting impulsively. It shifts you from reacting to the urge to observing it with a clear strategy.
And this must tie into preventing relapse for habits you're trying to change.
Absolutely. It's a core part of relapse prevention. Clear and others emphasize tracking your triggers like those common ACE-ALT states. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and recognizing the specific situations or social contexts that usually lead to the unwanted habit.
Knowing your weak spots?
Exactly. Then, armed with that awareness, you pre-commit to replacement behaviors. You consciously manage that entrance ramp to a highway of habit where, as Clear says, it seems to be easier to continue what you were already doing than to start doing something different. You make the old habit harder or less appealing, and make the new, desired behavior easier and more attractive.
Setting yourself up for success.
Precisely. And this capacity for self-regulation is just vital because, as Goleman notes, unaddressed underlying issues like chronic anxiety or agitation often lead people to self-medicate with impulsive stuff, substance abuse, overeating, compulsive shopping, whatever it is. By learning to urge, surf, and manage the intense feeling, the craving itself, the discomfort, you're addressing the root cause, not just the symptom.
So it's not just about willpower, it's about managing the underlying feeling.
Yes. The ultimate goal, as Clear suggests, is to actually reprogram your brain to enjoy hard habits. You do that by consciously associating them with positive experiences. Even just shifting your language from, ooh, I have to go exercise, to, okay, I get to move my body and feel better can make a surprising difference. It reframes the whole experience.
Yeah, two really solid skills there. Name, locate, breathe, act, and urge surfing.
Huh.
Now, for a practical takeaway people can use immediately.
Yes. Let's do something you can begin using literally right now to start laying the cornerstone of your own inner headquarters. This is the foundational practice. Simple, yet incredibly profound mindful breathing.
Accessible to everyone, anywhere.
Exactly. Let's just take a couple of minutes together right now. Find a comfortable position wherever you are sitting upright, lying down, even standing is fine.
Okay.
You can gently close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or if you prefer, just soften your gaze downwards, maybe resting your eyes on a spot on the floor ahead of you. Now, just gently bring your attention to the sensation of your breath. You don't need to change it or control it in any special way. Just notice it as it is, naturally flowing in and out.
Just observing.
Just observing. Notice the air as it enters your nostrils, perhaps feeling a slight coolness on the inhale. Feel it filling your lungs, maybe noticing your chest or abdomen expanding slightly. And then notice the exhale. Feel the warmth of the air as it leaves your body, that gentle sense of release. Just follow the full journey of each breath, in and out.
Okay.
You might feel the rise and fall of your chest, or maybe your abdomen moves more with each breath. Perhaps you notice the subtle sensation of your clothes against your skin as you breathe. Just observe whatever sensations are present with the breath.
And if my mind wanders, because it probably will.
It almost certainly will. That's completely normal. Thoughts will arise, distractions will pull your attention. When you notice your mind has wandered off, maybe planning, maybe worrying, maybe remembering, without any judgment, without any frustration at yourself. Just gently and kindly bring your attention back to the sensation of your breath. This act of noticing the wandering and gently returning your focus is the practice. It's like a little bicep curl for your attention muscle, strengthening your capacity for observation and focus over time. Each return is a success.
Okay. Just gently guiding it back.
Exactly. This simple exercise, often drawn from things like dialectical behavior therapy or DBT, is truly the most basic yet arguably the most profound step in constructing your inner headquarters. As van der Kolk discusses, practices like this teach us how to apply mindfulness to stay calm and in control, even when things feel really intense.
Building that foundation, breath by breath.
You got it. And the more consistently you practice mindful breathing, even just for a few minutes a day, the more you help yourself, as van der Kolk puts it so movingly, to comfortably inhabit your tortured bodies, especially for those who've experienced trauma where their own body might feel unsafe or alien.
Reconnecting with the body in a safe way.
Yes. And neurofeedback studies actually show that consistent practice like this can lead to increased activity in the prefrontal lobe, that's a part of your brain associated with self-regulation, executive function, planning, rational thought. You are quite literally helping to rewire your brain, strengthening your capacity for calm observation and conscious choice.
That's amazing. It's not just relaxing, it's actually changing the brain.
It absolutely is. So, to kind of wrap up our deep dive today, let's really hit home that core message. Emotional regulation, tolerating distress, building this inner headquarters.
Yeah.
These are not fixed personality traits you either have or you don't.
Not something you're born with.
Absolutely not. They are unequivocally skills. Skills that can be learned, developed, and strengthened over time through consistent, deliberate practice. Van der Kolk is very clear on this. These are capacities that can be acquired, honed, and mastered.
And Carol Dweck would agree, right,
Yeah.
with the mindset work.
Absolutely. She emphasizes that mindsets are an important part of your personality, but you can change them. We all have a mix of fix and growth mindsets, moments we feel stuck, and moments we feel capable of growth. The key is to acknowledge that. Notice when you're caught in fixed thinking.
Like, I can't handle this, or I'll never change.
Exactly. And then consciously, actively choose to shift into that learning, growth-oriented perspective. It's not just wishful thinking, it's a tangible, actionable choice you can make again and again.
And this whole process, building the headquarters, it's tied into who we become.
Intimately tied to your self-identity, James Clear puts it brilliantly. Progress requires unlearning, shedding old habits, old limiting beliefs. To become the best version of yourself, you need to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity.
Wow, edit your beliefs.
Yeah, and every single small action you take, every deliberate choice you make from your emerging headquarters is like a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Your identity isn't static. It emerges dynamically, directly out of your habits, out of your conscious choices, day by day.
That's incredibly empowering. Our actions shape who we are.
They really do. And for those dealing with difficult pasts, therapies focusing on emotional regulation aim to help people live fully and securely in the present. It's about enabling the brain to finally recognize deep down, okay, that was then, and this is now. Allowing memories to be integrated into the ongoing story of your life, rather than being these endlessly re-experienced threats. That's how you reclaim your present moment and build a life forward.
So it's an ongoing journey, not a destination you reach and then you're done.
By its very nature, it's continuous. It involves that periodic reflection and adjustment, taking that conversational distance Claire talked about to see the entire mountain range of your progress, not just getting lost in today's struggles. It's a lifelong process of refining your inner command center, adapting it to new challenges, always seeking greater clarity and self-awareness.
And it's okay to struggle with it.
Yeah.
It's not about being perfect.
Absolutely. If you ever find yourself struggling, feeling frustrated, or even, as one of Van Kolk's patients said, feeling really dumb for feeling this way, please remember, this isn't about being perfectly rational or never feeling discomfort again. Far from it. It's about trusting the process, allowing yourself to experiment with these new tools and skills in a safe, compassionate way, whether that's on your own, with support, or in therapy. The discomfort is often part of the growth process itself.
Learning to be with the discomfort instead of running from it.
Exactly. And ultimately, building your headquarters empowers you to face the unknown. By cultivating this inner stability, this capacity for observation and regulation, you transform the unknown from something terrifying and compelling into something beneficial. Jordan Peterson speaks really powerfully about how creative exploration allows us to turn chaos into habitable order. When you learn to observe, regulate, and respond intentionally, you equip yourself to navigate life's inherent uncertainties and challenges with more courage, more purpose, and ultimately more meaning.
So here's a final thought for you to consider. What if the headquarters you're building is not just a place to manage chaos, but the very crucible where you evolve your identity and learn to truly face the unknown? Think about how much of your life might currently be directed by those unconscious processes, those automatic reactions. What incredible freedom might await when you start making them conscious. Primitive consciousness was sometimes described as a chronic twilight state, where something thinks in him, what something is thinking in you, and how might making that conscious redefine your own fate.
That's a deep one to chew on. And speaking of digging deeper, next time on the deep dive, we're going to tackle some serious myth busting. We'll explore how pervasive myths and traditional beliefs, even the ones that seem really logical or are deeply ingrained in our culture, can sometimes subtly lead us astray and actually hinder our progress.
Challenging assumptions. I like it.
Get ready to challenge what you think you know and discover some surprising truths hiding just beneath the surface of our collective understanding.
You won't want to miss that one. Until then, keep observing, keep building that headquarters, and keep diving deep.